Everything you learned in history class was a lie. Well, maybe not everything, but they skipped the best parts. Introducing Stupiracy, where stupidity meets conspiracy. Ever heard of the Olympic marathon that nearly killed its runners? Or the time a pope put another pope's corpse on trial? Join me, Scott Rizzuto, and Tim McKernan as we uncover the most outrageous historical moments and mind-blowing conspiracies you won't believe actually happened. Tune into Stupiracy for your weekly dose of historical absurdity. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, history is dumb, but laughing at it is smart.
What do you say? What do you say? What do you say?
Hey, how you doing? I'm just fine. Let me see. I was just looking. 69 degrees. It's comfy down here, but a little cool. It hasn't been warm as we'd hoped. It's warming up back home, right?
Yeah, and that probably will mean increased warmth for you, because that means the cold snap is on the way out.
Finally leaving the East Coast, huh? It's going to be balmy in Philadelphia on Sunday.
When do you come back here?
Friday at 11 a.m.
Okay, so are you in? No, you're not in here Friday because you don't work Fridays.
I will be later in the year, but not right now. We still have the Football Fun Fest going on.
Going through the football season.
Yes. Which this football season continues to be prolonged by our Fighting Vikings there. So.
Are you aware of the local church that's getting national viral hits?
No, but God help us if the Vikings make the Super Bowl. We're going to have so many of these stories that make you Ralph.
Well, this one's, what is it, Rook? Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic Church?
Yes.
And they have a communications director, Julie Craven, who used to work for Hormel. And I think she came up with a great idea. She said, make any promises in the last 10 seconds? And then there's a Viking logo, and then their mass schedule for Sunday.
Okay.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
All righty.
But you're right. We're going to get, we'll be inundated, I think, with stories like that.
The cuteness will, the 99-year-old Millie stories will be, somebody will be calling up and say, my grandmother's 102. She's a bigger fan than Millie is. Mm-hmm. We're going to have all kinds of those stories. So, somebody told me that Channel 11 has already broken out the Weeping Blondes.
No.
That they interviewed them.
Are they going to Philly?
Well, you should have copyrighted the term Weeping Blondes.
I'm not sure. I might have stolen that from somebody, but it became. But I popularized it.
Yeah.
I popularized it, and as I said, I did the reunion piece on the 10th reunion, and the great part about that was, and I've told you this, that you've seen the picture, and the woman standing up in with the other two, kind of comforting them.
What are they now, about 70?
No, they might be 40.
Oh.
But I know at least one of them is a mother by now. But but the one, she's actually blocking out another blonde who was sitting with these two, right? And so she came down to comfort them and Brian Peterson took that photo. So you can just see a little hint of this other gal. Well, when we did the reunion piece, the gal who was standing up wasn't in the Twin Cities anymore, so we got the original in there with the Weeping Blondes when we reshot the photo back in the Metrodome 10 years later.
Are we bringing the Weeping Blondes to, are we putting them in the stadium if the Vikings make it?
I don't know. I don't know how it's working. It's not like you can just go out and say, I'm going to buy a ticket. Did you see what the prices are in Philly?
Yes.
What's wrong with people? $800-900, something like that, for the tickets that are left?
I don't want to see a game that bad.
Not to
get puked on by an Eagles fan either.
Not visiting stadium at that time of night. Joe, you miss the news if you go to that game.
Well, how about if you take one of the Sun Country charters? You get home at about 2 or 3 in the morning.
Well, they're just running you right out to the airport when it's over. Huh?
Apparently.
Well,
but those charter flights do not include a ticket to the game, so you have to make that arrangement.
No, you
I wouldn't know anything about it.
No, I didn't suspect that you did.
Good.
So the blondes the smiling blondes that I wrote about Sunday night and it was online in the Trib. And they were down here for the bachelorette party that I met them at the Tiki Bar over in Fort Myers Beach. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I got a note from the hubby today, the guy who's going to marry the young lady, Carrie Mickelson, and what he said that they're getting married sometime in April, and he wanted to do a Viking theme with the whole wedding, and the wife wasn't, the bride to be wasn't going for it. But then I said, all right, you have to go track down the movie Diner and show it to her.
Oh, yeah, she's got to get the test.
One of the great scenes of all time, when they're giving the bride to be the test. If she can't pass the Colts test, the Baltimore Colts test, the wedding is off.
Yeah.
One of the great scenes ever. And then they ended up in Colts colors, the bridesmaids. Remember that?
Yeah.
Man, what a great movie.
Well, The Diner was the official movie of Monday Night Sports Talk.
Oh, it was fantastic. But they're all out there walking around in the next room trying to figure out if she's going to pass the test or not. To get her Colts. I think she had to get like 80% or something, right?
Speaking of being a crazy person and going out of town for a football game in the playoffs,
yeah.
I forgot to tell you guys this yesterday, but I learned this on Saturday. For those that weren't aware, I traveled to the Jacksonville-Buffalo game a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we covered it.
Guess who was 3 suites down from where I was sitting, and I did not learn this until Saturday.
I have no idea.
O.J. Simpson.
Really?
He was in attendance.
Really?
I'm showing Rook the photo that was sent to me.
That's OJ.
What was
OJ.
your weather like for that game?
It was beautiful. It was low 60s, upper 50s for the day. A little breezy, but it was a great day.
So who was entertaining OJ?
See, I don't know because I'm fairly certain he was not affiliated with the team in any way. I don't know if he was there with some business buddies or why he was or who he was there with, but apparently they were kind of told to keep it on the down low. That OJ was in attendance at the game because they didn't want.
So we didn't do any crowd shot. We didn't do
Right.
any. We didn't scan the suites to get a photo.
No. In fact, because there was a couple pictures of him. He was in one tailgating lot, and there was one of him at the actual game.
You think that idiot's trying to get back his Buffalo status? Are they that desperate that they would acknowledge this knucklehead?
Well, he was wearing a LaShawn McCoy jersey at the game.
Did we never? What did we do with him in Canton? They didn't take the plaque down.
I don't think so.
Why would you take the plaque down?
You can only take that Heisman away if you kill your wife and a waiter.
Yeah, Charles Woodson. They can never take that Heisman away.
Oh my God.
Unless you kill your ex-wife and a waiter. So, you know what our Timberwolves did last night, Joe? They kept us humble. They made sure that that those Timberwolves fans don't get too giddy. They lost to a team that had won once since December 28th.
Really?
And at what was it, Chris? They had 2 9-game losing streaks in like the last 6 weeks. And the Timberwolves managed to lose to them. And apparently just absolutely stunk it out.
Well, Butler was not happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the guy Butler was guarding scored 36 points, or something. So Butler took the blame for that. He said he's happy they lost, right? That was great. We deserved to lose. I'm happy, he said, that we got what we deserved because we haven't accomplished anything and we think we're good. So, but that was a disgusting defeat.
Well,
after
I
that
like the
fine
fact
homestand.
I like the fact they got a guy in the team who'll point that out.
Yes, I do too. Yeah, it's great. It's great. But boy, what a stinker to play like that at home and then go down and play that team that, all you got to do is get 12 ahead of them right off the bat, and they're going to stop playing. So.
Where'd they put the arena down there? Right out on the freeway?
Well, this is their second one, Joe.
Oh, really?
They came in the same time we did. They built a new one, and then that was off the freeway, yes, and then they built one downtown. This is their second one.
Are they downtown now?
I believe they are. I think they're downtown. But I know they're in their second arena. Yeah, they got the original was didn't have a proper number of suites, I guess. So.
All right. I haven't been in downtown Orlando in many, many years.
No. We spent some time down there, though. It was not much to write home about downtown Orlando back then.
No, for every spring training, I managed to stay at Winter Park, Florida, which was a lovely, lovely little area.
Town. The Beef and Bottle, a fine restaurant.
Yeah, long gone, I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm.
The Beef and Bottle.
Yeah, it was a great little restaurant.
That's a great name.
It's a cute little Florida town where the rich folks spend the winter, Reavers.
Okay.
And when you go in there, I remember going in there several times for dinner, and you'd always see the table with the 5 80-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
And 4 of them were women, and there was 1 guy.
Yep.
And you always said, you know what? They outlive us, don't they?
Yeah.
I kept thinking, hey, it's a rarity. Every old 85-year-old rich guy in there to have 4 or 5 gals with them because they all were widows. So.
And they were getting tired. They were getting tired of dragging Harold around too.
Yes, I bet they were. Yes,
they couldn't shake him every dinner hour.
Mm-hmm.
See, why don't we take a break and be back in just
I got a hot item for you.
Yeah, you saved that.
All right.
Okay. On this day in history, Joe,
Yeah.
a prototype of the Corvette was unveiled 1953 at the GM Motorama Auto Show at the Waldorf Astoria in New York City.
I'll be darned.
And a guy named Harley Earl,
Yeah, he was the designer.
he was the guy. He was the head designer, and he wanted to come up with a 2-seat sports car. The original one, you know what the horsepower was? 150.
Yeah.
Could barely move. $3,500 for the original. They started coming off the assembly line on June 30th, 1953. $3,500, but that did not include a heater or an AM radio. Yeah, that was extra.
No, and they're now highly sought after.
And in I read they made 10,000 of them the first year, and they only sold 3,500, and they were going to put the fork in it. And then the Thunderbird came along in 1955, and they didn't want the Thunderbird, Ford to get all the good publicity for the Thunderbird, so they kept making it. And here's a guy. You ever hear of Zora Arkus Dantov?
Yes.
He was, boy, you do know your.
This is all new to me,
automobiles.
Pat, so I'm interested.
Zora is the guy that said, okay, let me work on this. We'll come up with a more powerful engine. And the rest is history.
And that's when he invented the Corvette Z, the mark of Zorro. No?
No.
One reason it became very popular, I read,
Yeah.
the TV series Route 66.
Yep.
With Martin Milner and George Maharis, started in 1960, and they were traversing the country in a Corvette.
I never could get those two. Were they detectives? Or they were just highway
adventurers.
bums?
They
Yeah.
just kind of come into town, and somebody'd say, hey, can you help us solve this dilemma here? But
Yeah, they were always in a vet.
Yep, they
But
had
how
the
could
vet.
they go across the country without a radio or a heater?
No,
By then they had
I think-
them. Oh.
By then they had.
Okay.
them. And that, of course, what we didn't have then was freeways. So the way to get across the country was Route 66.
Right.
Or Route 66.
Route
Whichever you
66.
prefer.
I've been on an original portion of Route 66. In fact, I stood on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. Such a fine sight to see. It was a girl, my lord, in a flatbed floor, slowing down to have a look at me.
Did you?
Come on, baby.
Did you? I bet you went to Winslow just to see what it was, what they were talking about.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Because you asked
Well,
why they could get away with it, right? Wasn't that your main question, Joe?
Get away with what?
Well, all the merchandising and things like that. That they were,
there was a store there that sold just endless tchotchke key rings and stuff, and I thought, I wonder why they don't have to give a taste to the Eagles for that. And apparently they don't have to. So there's a fellow been waiting here. Bill, go ahead, please.
Yeah, hi, boys. I suppose you're kind of getting tired of the miracle catch.
No, not at all.
I happened to come across, I think it was yesterday's Star Tribune. They had an article in here from a writer from Philly.
All
And
right.
he's talking about how, basically about how they lucked out in their game and how the Vikings lucked out. But he has I'll be quick, guys, but he had some interesting points in the Viking game. He just basically says here, Keenum, he heaved up a pass and Diggs made the play, but the cornerback should have just tackled him, and the game should have been over, and we'd all be celebrating Breeze and his comeback victory.
That's
Well,
true.
that's
But then he goes-
exactly right.
Well, then he goes on to say, Patrick, real quick here, he goes on to say, but that's not what happened because rookie safety Marcus Williams, given the choice of remaining upright or wrapping up Diggs or taking out the receiver's legs as he returned to earth, did neither. He abandoned all fundamentals, put his head down, and whiffed.
Yes,
He missed the guy entirely, and, well, we all saw what happened.
You had to go to Philadelphia to find this information out? Okay, well, we all kind of saw the same thing. But who's the writer?
I think he encapsulated this better than anything anybody else has.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, sir.
I think we're all pretty well established what happened.
Yeah. Well, we still don't know why, but we still don't know why.
I still don't know what just happened.
I don't know what just happened.
I really don't.
Yes.
All I can say is give it to God, because without him, nothing is possible, and I wouldn't be here, so damn, that feel good.
That's a great quote.
So he said he gives all the glory to God.
Yeah.
And then he throws out a cuss word. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
There was a
But that's
player,
okay.
and it wasn't the Viking game, but there was a player that mentioned something on Twitter. I give all my thanks to God, and the tweet of God replied to that, said, I had nothing to do with it, wasn't watching the game.
I was going to say, do you think God was even watching? Do you think God cared? I don't think.
Well, God's probably a football fan, don't you think?
Let's say
it's a little
the
too
Vikings.
violent.
Let's say the Vikings make it to the Super Bowl, just for the
Yes.
sake of argument.
Yes.
How many tickets will be held by Minnesotans?
Well, here's the good news. The people, the Vikings, as the home team, as the home site, are taking care of a fair share of their, they can get a share of those tickets, okay?
All right.
At least the suite holders and some of those, they may not be keeping their suites, but they're going to get in the stadium. And then they get one of the two team shares. So it's going to be a higher number than it would be if you're playing and the game was being played in Tampa. There's going to be more tickets available for Minnesota people here because as the host team, they were going to get some tickets, and now and then if they're if they're one of the participating teams, they'll get some tickets too. So, but I don't think if you're Did they run a lottery or anything for him?
Johnny had the news story a while ago. I believe they have to wait until the official conclusion of the game. The way I interpret
to
it.
announce.
The season ticket holders will be placed in a third party. Will run a lottery system in which all current season ticket holders get a chance at tickets for the game. Mm-hmm. That's the way I understand.
But
it.
I got a hunch if you got one of those Viking suites that cost $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting some tickets, I think.
I would hope so.
Yeah, somewhere in the stadium, you're getting some tickets.
Sports Talk will return shortly. Here's John Height in the newsroom.
Thanks, Joe. Sunny and 26 degrees. One traffic thing I do want to mention, because Bruce didn't leave me much time there. There is an accident. It's the only problem really right now. Crash on 94 eastbound at Victoria Street. The left lane is blocked in that area, and things are not moving, if you look at the camera.
Both ways are pretty stop and go.
94 eastbound, and the westbound looks like maybe a Gawker situation. So if you're headed that way, keep that in mind. Here's what's going on. You guys were talking about the ticket thing, the Vikings ticket thing. Yeah.
The Vikings will have a computerized raffle this week, and that'll be operated by an outside third party to figure out which season ticket holders get a chance to buy seats, the majority of which cost $950.
Yeah, I'm out.
The odds of the raffle will be weighted based on the number of season tickets owned and the years a person has had the seats. The league allocates 20% of all tickets to each participating team. You subtract for the extra media space, the suites, and tickets given to team friends and family members. The number of available tickets for season ticket holders to buy still should be in the thousands. If season ticket holders who win do not want to buy the tickets, additional winners will be randomly picked, and they'll announce folks. If the Vikings win on Sunday, they'll announce the folks who are eligible on Monday.
So aren't we expanding the size to about 70? Aren't we going to, or is it only 65?
For the game? I don't know that.
I don't think they're expanding it. Well, they might be expanding some
so
of the
we got
media
12.
areas.
We should get 12,000. We should get 12,000 tickets, right? Mm-hmm. That's the way I got it figured. Plus, we don't get any as the home team, though, huh? I mean,
you're
as the
all
host,
challenging the football gods here.
as the host. Oh yeah, we are. There's no doubt about it.
Speaking of bringing people into the stadium, should we have received our press passes already or no?
I think
I keep checking my box every
Why
day.
don't you just send Goodell a note and say that
I'll
you'd
drop
like
my
to-
text.
You'd like to be there.
You could be the guy that dresses up like a superhero.
Yes,
Dress
what
up
do you
like-
want me to do?
Hey, dress up like Millie. Jump in front of her and walk in and
I'm going to say
use
I'm
her
105. I'm in pretty good shape. for
Get this kid out of my
105-year-old.
way.
tickets. Take that, Millie.
Former Twins note today: the Cubs have agreed to a 2-year deal to bring back Brian Dunsing. He had he had a pretty good year last year.
He did.
62 and a third innings, finished with a 2.74 ERA, 5 postseason appearances, gave up 1 run. If finalized, the contract would guarantee $7 million, according to John Heyman.
Nobody's more surprised by this than Brian Dunston, one of the most self-deprecating big leaguers I'd ever been around.
What did he say one time?
I can't believe it. I don't know how I get anybody out.
Exactly. I don't know how I'm getting anybody out.
Oh, that's
Man, he's a great guy.
News notes from today: the chairwoman of Minnesota's Republican Party is seeking a commission from large donations to supplement her salary in what campaign finance experts call an unusual arrangement. A memo obtained by the Associated Press today shows Jennifer Carnahan requesting a 10% payout from large contributions. Her memo to party leaders requested the commissions for the period from October 2017 through at least April 2018. An accompanying chart showed Carnahan would get an immediate $24,500 payout. Carnahan argued that her annual salary of $67,000 is below market value, and she's not personally wealthy, like some party leaders in other states. Matthew Pagano, the executive director of Minnesota's Republican Party, didn't comment directly on the request, but told the AP that salary adjustments are normal for state party chairs. He says the Minnesota GOP is in a strong financial position for the upcoming election. Party leaders are due to consider Carnahan's request tomorrow.
I thought you got those jobs because you wanted to help your party win elections. That's what I always thought. I didn't think it was profit mongering, but that's just me.
St. Paul Winter Carnival's Ice Palace is progressing well. Park construction says
Thought we weren't going to do it.
Oh, we're selling blocks ice.
You got a modest castle.
We're
coming.
scaling it
Okay,
back.
so we're not getting the one we wanted, though,
No.
right? The original one that was going to make the rest of the world jealous.
This is what like a real estate agent would call cozy. It's a cozy ice castle.
We're getting a starter castle.
Right. That's a good way to put it.
Three of the 6 towers are already complete with tops, and Mayor Melvin Carter announced that Ecolab has partnered with the Winter Carnival to sponsor the palace, so now it's called the Ecolab Ice Palace.
Wow, how about that?
Construction on the palace began about a week ago. It's expected to be 70 feet tall, weigh between 3 and 3.5 million pounds. Although its target completion date was scheduled for January 25th, contractors say it might be finished as early as this Saturday evening.
How's Mayor Carter doing there, Mayor Suchere?
I have no comment.
He's already bringing businesses together. Ecolab, he's already having them build us a starter castle.
Very important thing for the city here.
An update from a story from last hour. St. Kate's University now says it was an arsonist responsible after multiple fires broke out on the campus today. St. Kate's Public Safety Department and Deputy St. Paul Fire Chief said luckily no injuries reported. The fires were contained at various halls around the school. St. Kate says fire and police officials on campus are still investigating, and they're asking if anybody knows anything about how these fires started. They should call the school's public safety department.
If they hadn't fired the security guard, this wouldn't be happening.
That's right. Forgot about it.
Well, he had a bit of an issue.
Well, he did.
Turns out rats may not have been responsible for spreading the plague, or Black Death as it's called in medieval Europe.
So they got a bad rap, Johnny?
That's right. The
Fake
rats
news? It's fake news?
Yeah, rats got a bad rap. Turns out the disease may have spread from person to person through human-feeding parasites, including fleas and lice, according to a new study.
Which, of course, lived on the rats, but we're not blaming them, right?
The findings challenge the assumption that plague in Europe was spread by rats, the researchers writing in their study. If you'd like to read that study, it's in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences.
I get that magazine.
Okay.
Plague is caused by a bacterium called Yersinia pestis, which is carried by rodents and their fleas. The disease is perhaps best known for killing about 1/3 of the population in Europe in the 1300s during a pandemic called the Black Death. However, researchers are unsure of exactly how the disease was transmitted during that pandemic.
So, John,
Yes.
are you an expert in any way on the plague?
I don't consider myself one, no.
If somebody in the family got it, were you pretty well out of luck?
I think
it was
so,
going to
Pat.
spread then?
I think
I
so.
think you're in trouble.
One
It
on
wasn't
every
like
three.
you'd go to Walgreens and get anything for it.
Right.
Give me some of that plague off, will you?
1 out of 3. Wow.
Yeah.
No flu shots back then either.
No.
Sri Lanka's government has reinstated a ban on women buying alcohol and being employed in places where drinks are produced and sold. They say it's in line with the country's cultural values. That decision came...
You know what they're doing? They're changing the culture.
The decision
The
came
classic case.
nearly a week after the finance minister revoked the 38-year-old ban. Government spokesman and health minister Wajitha
Attaboy.
Whoever she is.
Senarathana. I think it's a he.
You know what they could get you back there, though, during the Black Plague? They
What?
could get you a nice leech.
Yeah, that's
true.
We'll let the leech suck the poison out.
That's right. Don't worry, I'll be right over
I'm
with the
going
leech.
to sell you a nice leech.
We got a good one.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
Health minister said its removal violated the country's cultural and moral values. They're correcting Brian Wilson's days from Hawthorne High School in California. Brian, of course, the leader of the Beach Boys. Well, he got an F in his music class when he was a senior.
Oh, yeah.
The mark was for an assignment that would eventually become the Beach Boys' first single, Surfin'.
Yeah.
Brian wrote a composition for me. It turned out to be Surfin', says the teacher, Fred Morgan. He said that composition got an F, but it made Brian $1 million. Now Hawthorne High has made amends for Morgan's poor foresight by reversing that old grade. The school's current principal, Dr. Vanessa Landesfiend, invited Wilson back to his old high school over the weekend, officially changed that F to an A.
Did Brian show up?
Apparently he did, yes.
Really?
Apparently, yeah.
Oh,
Got him out of his room.
my D
We've
minus
been out
went
of
to
the
a
room
D
for a while,
plus.
Pat.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
The widow of Glenn Fry has filed a lawsuit against the hospital that treated the ex-Eagle, alleging wrongful death. In the suit filed in the New York Supreme Court, Cindy Fry names the Mount Sinai Hospital, Icahn School of Medicine, as well as Dr. Stephen Itkowitz. It says the suit, at all times herein mentioned, the defendants each undertook and agreed to render medical care and treatment to Glenn Fry and did render certain care starting on October 19, 2015. It alleges the defendants were negligent and careless in their services rendered. According to the suit, they failed to promptly and properly render medical care, causing, permitting, and allowing preventable injury. As a result of the foregoing acts of negligence, Glenn Fry was rendered sick, lame, and disabled, suffered injuries, pain, mental anguish, and was disabled until the time of his death. The suit does seek unspecified damages. Fry died on January 18th in 2016 at the age of 67.
And she's got a case. Did you guys hear what the doctor said?
No.
Man, come on. I had a rough night, and I hate the Eagles, man.
I don't think that was him.
I think a lot of those guys wake up and their liver has just remembered the 70s. Kind of weakens them, doesn't it, in the long run?
Oh, it has to.
Yeah.
I get it in the long run.
I threw in another one there.
Oh,
There you go.
wow.
But
I didn't even
Yeah, there
catch
you
it.
go.
Nicely
All
done.
right, just a
Winslow.
moment, just a moment.
You got to go to our sports talk website on the AM 1500 1500ESPN.com. There we go.
Attaboy.
1500ESPN.com. The sports talk page. There's a video.
Oh, God.
It's a referee at a high school basketball game. A kid passes the ball about half court and hits the referee in the head, and it knocks the referee's toupee off.
We know. Was this Iowa, John?
I didn't see a state.
I
Did you,
don't.
Chris?
Yeah, I did not see a state either. I'm
Technical
not
foul?
No,
What did they
the
call it?
ref actually casually retrieves the toupee, puts it back on his head. He's standing right by one of the benches, and the players are trying desperately not to laugh. And then he also, my favorite part is one of the kids playing has a smile on his face, and as the ref walks by, he gives a little pat on the shoulder,
sure.
hey.
Like, it'll be okay,
You'll be
big
okay,
fella.
pal.
But you want to go watch that. It's very, very
Tell
funny.
you, back in the St. John, St. Thomas days when you can taunt, I don't think the rats on St. John's would have let him off the hook that easy.
No.
I think we might have.
But he just so casually, Pat just kind of turns around and goes, well, better pick this up. You know,
I got to get
puts it on
better
his head.
glue. I got to get better glue for this. Is it a bad looking toupee?
it is only because it was
Yeah.
a blonde top, but it looked like he had darker
Yeah.
hair underneath.
It was a bad scene.
Yeah.
He had the ring of friendship, the top, but he had the hair kind of growing around.
He had a theme problem, didn't he, Joe?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
1500ESPN.com, the sports talk page.
Why is it invariably that guys who wear those things look much better without them?
I don't know.
Who gives a bleep?
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Garbage collectors in the Turkish capital of Ankara have opened a public library filled with books that had been thrown away. Library created inside of an abandoned brick factory is composed of items once destined for the landfill, including the shelves that hold the thrown away books and paintings that decorate the wall. The library's collection was gathered by sanitation workers for months and then later expanded by residents who began helping out by donating books. The 6,000 available books include everything from fiction, nonfiction, kids' books, comic books, books used for scientific research, and books in different languages like English and French. Each book needs to be sorted and checked before it's made available at the library with a stamp of approval. The books are loaned out 2 weeks like a normal library at a time with time extensions available if needed. One Ankara resident said, "I'm sad to see that these books are thrown into the garbage, but our society needs to show more awareness, and this is helping out." Kind of a cool story.
I think it's an excellent story, John. They're trying to help save the earth.
Well, and weren't you referencing earlier football movies that are made after football teams or about with the football team as the focus, not just a scene?
Yeah.
There is one that we missed. This was in 1998, and it starred Tony Danza and Jessica Tuck. It was the garbage-picking, field goal-kicking Philadelphia phenomenon. So the guy was Tony Danza was a sanitation worker, and he somehow gets...
got a gig with the Eagles.
Yeah, and he's a kicker, and there's some embarrassment. He's garbage, but was a really good kicker. I didn't know that about Tony Danza.
Is that real? Really?
Yes, that's a real movie, 1988.
And you've seen it. That's a shot.
Yes, it was pretty good. I mean, it's Rotten Tomatoes didn't give it its due process, but I think if you watch it this weekend for a little football fix, you'll be entertained.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
Hey, Johnny.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you see that the situation ended up getting convicted of or pleading guilty to tax evasion?
No.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
The guy from Jersey Shore.
The guy from Jersey Shore. The
Proud to
greatest,
say I don't know who
the
it is.
greatest nickname in history. The guy's nickname was The Situation.
That's right.
It made no sense. Mike something, The Situation.
The Situation. Pat, I know an establishment that'll go nameless here in the Twin Cities that paid him $10,000 just to show up and hang out at the height of the Jersey Shore.
He must not have reported it.
That's what I'm guessing. He had a few of those that maybe went unreported.
Yeah, I was glad to hear you ask that, Joe, because I looked at Chris and went, huh?
Oh, my morning partner back then in the days when Jersey Shore was riding high, Mr. Coles, was madly in love with J-Wow.
I thought it was Snooki. Wasn't he a Snooki?
No, J-Wow.
J-Wow.
He loved J-Wow.
Okay.
Who was buxom. He loved J-Wow.
Joe, you taking
Did
notes
she have
here?
ample assets?
Yeah, well, she was a big girl.
Yeah.
I mean, in the.
I know what you mean.
Jay liked those big gals.
Yes.
In Colorado Springs, Colorado, a marijuana club owner capitalized on a combination of pot and sex over the weekend. A controversial cannabis sex party.
Was he in the St. Kate's woods over there in St. Paul? Where you can get a combo of those?
Jamin Johnson is the owner of the Speakeasy Vape Lounge and Cannabis Club, and he insisted the whole thing was legal. People visiting the club usually spend their time rolling joints, smoking weed, and playing video games. Saturday called for something a bit different. Johnson said various groups have approached him over the past 5 years trying to find a way to mix pot with sex. On Saturday, after Johnson said he checked with Colorado Springs officials on legality, the party happened. Johnson said everything went fine. Reaction on social media, that wasn't fine. Many people expressing outrage and disgust. Johnson said he gets away with hosting the group members and their alternative lifestyles because his business is considered a private club, one now considered the first of its kind in Colorado. And he says, yes, he'll be happy to consider hosting more of those sorts of parties.
Okay.
Update to a story we had, 5 years ago maybe? Remember the woman who was injecting people's butts to make them bigger? And
Fake butt doctor.
Yeah, and unfortunately...
Didn't she use like bathroom cock or something like that?
She ended up killing one of the women, remember, because it broke. I believe it was silicone of some sort.
Was it in Boca Raton, Florida?
I was in Georgia.
Georgia.
Yes. She, the doctor, who was serving a life sentence in prison for that death, has now herself passed away. Oh. She died in prison. They're trying to determine the cause of death. If you don't remember, it's 58-year-old Tracy Lynn Garner. She was 3.5 years into her life sentence. She was convicted in 2014 of murder after Karima Gordon died 8 days after getting silicone butt injections from Garner in Mississippi. Authorities say Gordon died of a blood clot in her lung a few days after the procedure. Gordon was referred to Garner by Natasha Stewart, an adult entertainer who went by the name Pebbles. Stewart was later convicted.
Okay. This sounds like a country song, doesn't it? She died in prison.
Stewart was later convicted of manslaughter in Gordon's death. And
Pebbles was never the same.
A story from Australia. Joe, I know you had this on GL, but a farmer was forced to ride his motorbike holding his head upright with his hair after he fell and broke his neck on his property at West Gippsland.
That's a tough guy.
That's a farmer right there. 73-year-old reportedly checking his farm for grasshoppers when he hit a small hollow and went over the handlebars, landing on his head and breaking his neck. The beef farmer, identified only as Jim, told local TV he cracked his head but wasn't knocked out by the fall. Said, I got to my feet and I knew there was something seriously wrong. My head wouldn't stay up. The pain hurt so much I just held it up by my hair. He was taken first to the Dandenong Hospital.
So he's walking along with his hand holding his head on?
That's correct.
No, better than that. He rode his motorcycle back to the farmhouse.
Yes.
Wow.
He was taken then to the hospital, transferred to Austin, where doctors confirmed he had fractured his top 2 vertebrae, C1 and C2.
He kept saying to himself,
what is wrong
you
with
like
you?
that, huh? You
I
like
bet
that?
What is wrong with you?
I bet he's a little handier around the house than me.
Right, I think so.
Once again proves to me that no matter what you do in Australia, something's trying to kill you.
Right.
That's true.
Just checking for grasshoppers on your farm. Somebody's trying to kill you. All right, just a moment, please. As soon as we do this.
Do you go to the box,
No.
2 minutes by yourself and you feel shame and then you get free.
Hey, Pat.
We got Trevor May. He's going to be talking some hoops. Baseball.
Hello.
Hello.
Play ball.
Green. Yes.
What do you have coming up?
I wondered. Well, Trevor May was going to be live here in the press box, but he just informed me he forgot and he started cooking. So we're going to call him at home down here in Fort Myers, and then we're going to have a Matthew Collar and Herm Edwards will be with us in the 5 o'clock hour, and then Matthew will tell us what was going on out at Winter Park today.
Which should be informative because this excitement will just build back up again starting tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it will. Well, today, actually, because Wednesday is, that's the big media day out there. So
1500.
all kinds of stuff.
ESPN is KSTP, St. Paul, Minneapolis, 24.
As prices keep creeping up, your entertainment budget doesn't have to take a hit. Live One Plus has all the music you love, ad-free for only $3.99 per month. Dive into Live One's massive library of songs, listen to curated playlists, or create your own. Check out exclusive artist-hosted stations, and do it all for the best price in streaming. Lock in a Live One Plus membership for just $3.99 per month now, and you'll not only beat inflation, you'll get all your favorite music ad-free. Check out liveone.com/bestmusic for details.
The South Dakota Stories, Volume 3. It was my first time traveling alone. Packed my car with hiking boots, a camera, and my dog Randy. I don't know what I was searching for. Maybe it was something new, with adventure. Maybe it was the idea of vacation I would never expect, filled with wildlife, national parks, rivers. Whatever it was I set out to find, it was all there and more. Because there's so much South Dakota, so little time.